Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 116. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm super grateful to have you on my channel. And as you probably know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. So September already feels like it's here. We're having some fresh trending markets, some amazing price action, some very clear trading opportunities. And this week has been absolutely amazing for me and also for the Fanatic team, who are, all of them are experiencing amazing growth. We're having new funded traders. We're having a lot of improvements. So really excited. And pretty soon I'm also going to be doing updates of the whole program, introducing new stuff, new refinements, new trading plans, new risk management plans, and everything that I've gathered throughout the last 3 to 4 months of trading. So really excited to actually head into Q4, which is supposed to be one of the best quarters of the year. So in this video, I'm also gonna break down my trades just very quickly, not to take too much time, because I didn't record a trade setups breakdown video because I was trading up until the end of Friday, so didn't really have time to sit down and record. But of course, I'm gonna show you what I did, what trades that I take, and all of that. So if you're of course new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share this weekly outlook and setups every Saturday, and once per week I share an educational piece of content or a trade setups breakdown video. So make sure you are subscribed. Hit the notification bell in order not to miss the updates when they come out. And before we start, I want to mention that I trade some crypto, and I do it with Forex.com. It's an amazing broker with great spread, great commissions, but if you choose their eco account, every lot that you trade goes towards planting 10 trees. So I really support that initiative and I take my lots with pleasure. So make sure to check them out. Link will be down in the description. And if you already did, let's head straight into the analysis. Alright, as always, let's start with a Dixie, our best friend, in order to determine the potential direction of the dollar, which is going to give us a hint to where potentially the other pairs could go, because most of the pairs that we, or personally I, trade are USD related. So zooming in right here on the weekly time frame, we can see that we still maintain this bullish market structure right there. And although for a couple of weeks I've been telling you that this price action is a little bit compressed, and usually what we have is a strong pump to the downside to create the higher low formation and then to potentially pump higher. Because you can see even from the bottom, we are already shifting the structure. Like we had a push, pullback, higher low, higher high right now. And then we can potentially expect a new higher low to form right there and then to actually continue to pump higher. But still, as I told you, until we actually have a break of this weekly higher low, then I do not really want to go sell bias. But still, we have some hints on the daily that we might potentially have that. So let's actually jump on it. Just a little detail on the weekly. We failed to break the weekly low and we actually broke the previous weekly high, but we failed to close above it. Okay, so that is kind of a 50-50 indication, because if we had a body close above, then that is a bullish signal, but we actually just wicked above it and we rejected and we actually closed again within the previous weekly candle. So that still means that we are a little bit 50-50. Dropping onto the daily and taking this information here, the only thing that worries me is that, cool, this is our weekly higher low, but we pushed into the highs on the daily, we pulled back, we created a higher low formation, and then we created a higher high. Okay, so what this does, it creates a new major higher low right here. And as I told you, this higher low was actually broken. We retested the weekly higher low right there, and right now we're in a pullback. So currently, it's a very tricky situation for the DXY because we're stuck between a very major demand right there and structural changing on the daily, which suggests that we could potentially start going lower. And as you can see, there is actually the little lower high that broke this demand. So this is a pretty major supply right now. And we just kind of kissed inside it. We rejected it. Right now we're exactly stuck in the middle. So as you can see, we're starting to build a story from the weekly, daily. Right now we're going to jump onto the 4-hourly. But again, if we actually really start pushing down and if we break the structure, then potentially this is going to expose all those lower levels. And we can potentially even travel to some of those unretested regions of around 90-50. Okay, so pretty important to actually see what here is going to happen and then to potentially just follow the flow. Okay. But if you remember from the previous week, basically the market was really extended. I think we took from the high to the low. And what I told you guys is that we are gonna expect a pullback above the 50%, which perfectly occurred. We have a little bit of a supply right there. The market, I do believe, reacted from it. You can see this wick, but eventually we went to actually manipulate above this double top. And this is where actually that wick was taken, and then we immediately withdrew from that wick. Okay, so basically right now I can say that we could anticipate shorts, because even on this push we pulled back above 50%, we took the orders, the stop losses from here, we strongly rejected to the downside, and right now even if I drop to the daily time frame, we can see that the structure is already changing. So for Monday, what is going to be really important for me is to see how this bearish structure will sustain potentially. Because yes, right now this is a high, this could potentially be a lower high right there. So I want to see how the market is going to hold right there. Are we going to have an introduction of sellers? And then if we potentially can actually break this level as well, that's when I'm going to really start looking for shorts, and potentially this low is going to get broken for a creation of a new daily lower low. Okay, so basically if you trade the daily, this is your major lower high. So as long as the market stays below, you can be looking for shorts on the daily. But of course, intraday, you have plenty of opportunities to go long, short, long, short. So yes, let's have a look. Another scenario will be we can potentially even pump into the highs right here. Then we can again accumulate, break, retest, and then we can potentially pump lower as well. So those are the two plans that I have right now. We can even take this little zone right here as a nice supply. That is the next area that we can potentially expect it. But again, guys, as I always tell you, flow with the market, see how Monday opens, and then we can potentially forecast what could happen. But I am more short bias right now on the dollar than long bias. So let's see how this one is going to play out. Let's have a look at EU, which is very interesting and which might actually kind of counter my analysis on the DXY. Because if you just watch the DXY, I said that I am expecting bearishness, but actually I'm also kind of bearish on EU. Okay. The biggest question is, again, is this kind of price action right here going to sustain, and are we going to continue dropping lower, or are we going to, again, kind of this compressed price, or are we going to pump into the highs to create a real lower high and then to potentially jump down? Okay, because if you take the weekly range from the high to the low, we haven't yet pulled back towards the 50%, and there is a lot of empty space right here. Usually the market has to create a little wave up and then to potentially start pumping down. But of course, very similar to the DXY, we still haven't broken the weekly lower high. Okay, so that is very important. So we can potentially right now actually expect a new lower low on the weekly, which means a new higher high on the DXY as well. Let me just tell you this. There is a higher low, we can potentially expect a higher high, and there is EURUSD in reverse, we can expect potentially a lower low. But again, on the daily, what makes it a little bit tricky is we had a push, pullback, lower high, lower low, break of the lower high right there, went all the way up to the highs, actually even faked the high, and right now we're kind of staying in the middle right here. Okay, so let's suppose we think that this is our reversal leg. The market tapped into something on the left to get into that higher low formation. Is this actually the elections right here? 4th of November? No, 2020. Okay, I'm not entirely sure, but if you actually see this wick, this is where we're potentially reacting from around, let's say 50% of that wick, something like this you can see, and we're introducing a lot of pressure to the upside. So my immediate analysis on the daily will be to take the range. Okay, so there's our range from the high, from the low to the high. I would love to see EU drop below 50% and then to potentially see how it's going to respond from this level. So this is my daily analysis. This is where I could potentially expect the longs. Okay, but still keep in mind that we're overall short bias. Okay, so very, very, very tricky and very important for you guys to actually be fluent in reading market structure, because it's literally everything you need. Okay, so this week, pretty nice. A very nice shorting week. Again, as I told you, probably we were expecting the pullback, which is still going on. Okay. First target was right here where I took one of my position. Second target was down there, which actually got achieved as well. There it is. And right now we actually failed to continue higher. We just respected also supply from right here, which is the supply that actually broke the demand. So this is a pretty, basically support became resistance if you want it in simple terms. And right now we're potentially headed lower to make a new lower low and to drop probably below 50% and into around 1750. So this is potentially where I'm gonna expect EU. So shorter term, I'm looking for shorts and then to potentially take a long, which means shorter term longs on the DXY. Where is my analysis right now? Yeah, shorter term longs and then to potentially take a short. So as you can see how it aligns, but again, we never know what's gonna happen, okay? So basically, before I jump onto my trades, I just wanna like share the analysis. Basically on EU, we already tapped inside this supply right here. We responded from it. We're already on the move to make a new lower low. So let's see if actually the market on market open is going to pull us back into the highs to potentially give us a shorting opportunity. And then potentially my targets will be exactly into this area. And as we get into this area, that's where I'm going to start looking for longs. Can we maybe pull back to a different place? Yes, we can maybe give us a deeper pullback. But looking at this bearish pressure on Friday, I just think we might have a little pullback and then just continue going down. Okay, this is how I'm going to actually analyze the market if this was a normal trading day. But we never know, of course, what's going to happen on Monday. So basically, guys, this is kind of a more of a longer term perspective, looking for shorts into like 1780 to 1750. And from there, I'm going to readjust and monitor price action to see if we're going to have any bulls. Okay, so that is my analysis. I'm going to take it off right now. And I would love to show you some trades that I took this week. Okay, so let's maybe drop to the hourly time frame just to build them some context. First trade I took was on Monday. I took it from the phone, so kind of unserious, and I didn't actually manage it well, so pretty little bit pissed about that trade. But again, if you remember, we expect bears because we had NFP high right there. We started shifting the structure. We broke structure on the hourly, and then I was just looking for the shorts basically. And as you can see, I have one long, which is not following my plan. I'm gonna show you guys. So let's maybe drop to the 15-minute very briefly. I should have done trade setups breakdown. So guys, put some pressure on me. Tell me you want those trade setups breakdown. But yes, a push to the downside, break of structure, basically looking for the pullback, a creation of a new lower high, and looking for the market to potentially create a new lower low, which was on Monday. So it wasn't really feasible, I would say, but this is how I actually took the trade. It was around late, well, not really late, but 2 hours into New York Open. We had this shift in London Open. We massively pumped into the downside. A little bit messy price right here, so I wasn't trading, but I spotted my supply level. The market kind of came very correctively, and what I tell you about compressed price, it usually gets taken out. So we took it out. I didn't take it aggressively from here. I waited, of course, for a confirmation entry to see how the market is actually gonna change the structure. And again, as I keep telling you, it's all structure, major high low, substructure gets created right here to actually tell you that we're starting to reverse, break of the major structure, and after this happens, I'm all in. Okay, so this is where I took my entry. Gonna see the MT4 stats as well. Stop loss above 2 pips, and the target was 5R, and just a little bit above the low. Okay, so I wasn't on the phone to maybe close my position at 4.5 or something. I do believe I had a TPU, but yeah, it just didn't trigger. And then guess what? It took me out at break even. So that was a pretty stupid trade, because I could have been satisfied and maybe just take my trade from right there, or maybe spot that there was this very strong demand level that the market was reacting to. But it is what it is. Cool, break even trade, good start of the Monday. Then Tuesday was pretty lovely. Let's maybe find it out, and let me maybe delete the first trade. Hopefully that is clear. Wow, it's not nice to be making it like this during the weekly outlook, but yes. So 7th of September, again, what the market does, pulls back to create a lower high. Beautiful. We start breaking structure lower, so all I'm looking for is shorts. Okay. There were, of course, some longs to be taken, which I didn't, and I wasn't really in the zone on Tuesday because there were plenty of lovely setups. Absolutely crushing day on Tuesday. As you can see on the 5-minute, we're just following the flow. Lower high formation, lower low, lower high respected, lower low, lower high right there, pullback, creation of flat lows, which usually again get taken, pullback, and this is where I actually nailed my trade, and I took a little bit of a FOMO loss, I would say, right there. And then of course we even continued to trade lower. So let me show you actually Tuesday. I was looking for the longs down there because this was a manipulation of the Asian range. Not really clear according to my rules right here, the setup that was given, but of course it's fine. And then I hesitated on actually taking a short because I had this level right there and I wanted to take a short from right here, but I hesitated simply because the market was coming with a lot of bullish pressure. So I didn't take a trade from here. And then I saw the market just reverse and I was like, cool, let's not stress. Let's try to take a short, broke structure. And then I saw this little level right there. I didn't consider this to be that strong. So I took my trade from right here. Stop loss was above and I had a very quick stop loss on this one. Then I did not re-enter from right here. I was just looking for the shift, which actually occurred right here. So I could have been in a trade right there, but I think this was my non-trading hour. So I'm not trading at that time. I'm just observing what happens. Okay. So the market consolidates, creates this buy, sell off, lower high, boom, big lower low. Very flat, so this was actually my target, and then the market just very nicely pulls back into this area again. Slightly hesitating, but this is actually my first real trading week after the break. This is when I was on my home station having my magic keys and everything. So I did not take a trade from right there, the aggressive, but I waited for a slight change of structure. So we broke structure, pull back, lower high, lower low, pull back, lower high. So I took the trade from here. You're gonna see the entry, stop loss above. And the target was basically below those curved lows and this low right there for the creation of a new lower low, which banked me around 4.8 R. So that is where I took my profits, you're gonna see. And I think I left a runner, but then when I saw the market chop around, I think I just sabotaged everything again somewhere right there. And then of course the market ended up going pretty nice. So this is something that I'm actually trading right now to be holding my trades, but of course a lot of improvement is needed, but we never know when a trade is gonna run for so long. So it's much better to actually have your targets, take your profits, and then just go and enjoy your day. This is how I personally think. No need to be nailing those big monster 1 to 20 trades. Then losing day on Wednesday. This is where I told my team in the morning, guys, today we are going short, okay? I actually showed the levels, showed everything. So the short level was actually from here, but I got a little bit confused because again, we had the Asian range somewhere right here. Let me maybe show you why I got that thought process. So we had the Asian range, we had a lovely manipulation below the Asian range. We tapped into something on the left, and then you can see how beautifully we start changing structure. Okay, so we had a push, a pullback, a massive pump into the highs. Then we had a big consolidation right there, which was pretty tricky, very tricky. I was actually looking for the longs right there, but didn't get triggered here. Then the market consolidated, pushed, and didn't get triggered into long right there. And then I considered this level to still be valid, okay? But what the market did is it created those really flat highs. And we also had a lot of flat highs right here, which is what I also shouted in my morning analysis. And my team, actually all of them took this short. But I was stupid and I was looking for the longs. So I didn't take the short and I took the long from right here and I lost it. So that was my only trade on Wednesday. And then I could not really find out another amazing opportunity. So I was just happy with this loss and did not trade for the remaining of the day. I think I had something else to do, but pretty lovely short. And then of course, a lot of other shorts that could be taken. One right here, then the market consolidated, break structure, retest, another right here, and then potentially the final short a little bit later in the day. So that is Wednesday. On Thursday, I didn't trade at all, so I wasn't at home. And my final trade that actually ended up the week pretty strong was on Friday. So basically Friday, looking for that really strong high right here, tapping into a lower high on the left. On the 15-minute, it was a strong move into the high. So basically London really pushed the market higher. And I was like, we cannot really continue for such a long time. I would expect that retracement. So basically this was an aggressive retracement trade, but absolutely smashing Friday. So I'm pretty sad that actually I wasn't into those trades right here. There was a long trade right there and a long trade right here as well that actually got missed. So my entry was which one? No, so I actually wasn't at the charts for this one right here. This was a retracement trade into the highs, and then I actually set my at 17. I even remember this number, 17 right there, 18, 13, 17 or something. Stop loss below, I got missed on this one, but it would have been a break-even trade overall. But this is my trade right here. Again, simply we tapped into something on the left that I don't have it right now. We see how the market starts to consolidate, took out the highs, then we broke structure to the downside. Very simple lower high formation. Enter the trade from here. Stop loss above 2.4 pips, and the target was down there. I took full targets for a nice 6.33 risk to reward, and this is how I basically ended up the week after I missed some longs right there. Then I actually did not trade the shorts because I was already enjoying the weekend. And yes, so pretty much ending up the week, I'm not really sure. To be honest. I think around a little bit more than 10R or something. So yes, hopefully you also watched the analysis at the beginning, but overall expecting a short continuation on EU and then potentially a pump up. But make sure to stay tuned for the Tuesday outlook on Telegram. Link is in the description as well. Let's have a look at Euro Yen, which is as well slightly bit tricky because we can see that we have this weekly lower high formation and we just wicked above it. So we wicked it above the previous week, and right now we're having an inside bar again. And what I always tell you about inside bars, guys, what you do is you mark the high and the low of the mother candle, and on the next week you expect a breakout. And I do believe we might have a bearish breakout, although again we are kind of tapping into some levels right here, and pretty much the weekly range from the low to the high has been fulfilled below 50%. EJ is not a pair that I trade, and pretty much we had a consolidation, I think, or something on EJ, so it wasn't really clear. But what we actually had right now is a push to the downside, still in a demand market. We failed to make a new higher high, so basically we have this shift of market structure and a strong pump into the downside to create a lower low, pull back to again respect the newly created supply, which is right here, and right now we're potentially headed towards creating a new low. Okay, so as you can see how simply we broke down the market from the weekly all the way to the full hourly. Okay, so currently the positioning of the price is not lovely. Okay, so what I would like to see for shorts is either to pull back into this level again to give me a short opportunity to go short, or to have a new lower low and then to potentially pull back to give me a lower high and then to potentially again continue lower. I would expect that weekly low to be broken, so stay tuned for that. And then after this we can potentially start looking for longs. Okay, because again we have a big push into the highs that broke structure on the left, and potentially again we're doing the same thing as on EU. We have the low, we have the high, and we want to pull back below 50% and then to potentially from there start looking for longs. And we have a couple of areas. Maybe this big demand level right here will be nice, 129, very nice key level. So guys, my bias on EJ is shorter term shorts. The question is, how do we get into shorts? Well, basically you should already be running from this one, but if the market pulls back inside this level, we could look for shorts again, or if we make a new lower low, then even better, we can look for a lower high and to take shorts again. So let's see how Monday plays out, and let's strike on Tuesday. Very interesting development on the Aussie. So this week we had a lot of opportunities on the Aussies. My team actually really started trading the Aussie dollar, so I'm really feeling FOMO about starting to trade it as well, because I'm mainly focused on EU and GU, but this one has been insane this week. So again, if you remember, we're coming from a very strong weekly demand level. We also broke the weekly lower high, so basically this is pretty much a bullish market right now. Okay, and guys, if you remember from the previous week what I told you about this, about having very strong bullishness and trying to forecast how the next weekly candle will look like. So I told you we have two situations. We're either going to create a wick down and then potentially continue higher, or we're going to have a complete bearish candle within this bullish one, and we're having exactly this. So that is very nice to see it play out, because right now this is a pullback to right now potentially start looking for longs. As you can see, we have a big bearish candle, pull back, and right now look for shorts, but right now it's just in the opposite direction. Okay, if we draw the fib from the high to the low, we still have a little bit to go below the 50%. So dropping onto the daily to have a look at the range, there it is. Basically, yes, we can still have a little bit downside on AU, and on the daily this will be the best area to actually look for it. We have a little bit right here, and basically they're pretty much the same. So this, we can actually make it, let's make it a whole area like that. This is what I would do. Boom. And there is our area, basically also a Fibonacci area combined with supply and demand below 50%. So this is where we could potentially expect the longs. Why did that disappear right now? But yes, pretty much shorts this week. Again, after the creation of that high, we shifted structure down, we pull back lower high, and then it's been shorts. a little pullback right now, and again headed towards creating a new lower low, which I pretty much think is going to happen even on market open, because the market is already going with momentum to the downside, so it doesn't make sense to actually make a deeper pullback and then push down. But if this happens, that will be even lovely, because right here we have a very strong area for shorts, and that will be very nice, okay? But if we actually break lower towards a new lower low, we can have this as our lower high, and then we can potentially trade it as well. So something like this. But overall, I am short biased on the AU. There are my two levels that I want to short it from. And again, looking for it to get below 50% into this big zone, which I'm not sure why it's disappeared. Where are you, my bro? And why are you failing on me? Let me put you back on visibility. What is this? Let me just fix it. Yeah, because I just want to see how it actually looks like on the hourly. There we go. Nice. So basically we have on the hourly right here, we have right here, this whole range right there will be pretty nice. So basically guys, my biggest tip will be short the Aussie until this level, and then potentially reevaluate and see how you can get into longs. And again, the biggest question is how is it going to play out on market open, so we can actually catch the short. But there are my two levels that I will be interested trading from. Aussie JPY as well, starting to look as a retracement, still inside the previous weekly candle, pretty much the same as the Aussie dollar. Again, the daily range, we had a massive low, we have a massive high that broke structure. So currently as well, looking for it to get into a pretty nice area for a buy. On the 4-hourly time frame, we are pretty much bearish right now. There is our shift on top. There is our break of the major structure. That is actually the creation of the higher low. We broke it, and we also respected the lower high, and we're already going on our way down. Okay, so there's a trading opportunity. Just for 10 seconds, we take a trade like this. Pretty nice opportunity right there, which is basically already gone. And right now what we have to do is we have to wait for the market to create a new lower low, which technically it did. And right now our new lower high becomes this one. So basically what I'm going to be looking for is for the market to give me a pullback, creation of a lower high, and then to short it into this zone like this. Okay. So this is my outlook on the Aussies, pretty much short bias. Then the biggest question is how are we going to pull back in order for us to take a short, but looking for continuation shorts on both trades into the daily levels. And then from there, we're going to readjust and see how we can start catching longs as well. Let's have a quick look at the NZDs, which compared to the Aussies are a little bit stronger. Why? Because on the Aussies, we had a bigger downwards candle, but on this one, it's pretty much a rejection. So again, a little tip again, guys, is if you're having very strong momentum, sometimes the market does not need to pull back below the 50%, which is the thing that I always mention, because right now we're gonna drop our range, but in very strong trending markets, and especially after the first break. So if we have downwards trending markets, and if we have that first break, usually the first pullback is gonna be very brief. And then actually the next one is gonna be like this. Okay, so that is a pattern that I've seen a lot. So do not always expect the big high low to be formed, okay? But pretty much the same as the Aussies, we're having like the 50%. There is that high probability zone that we can trade from if the market pulls back. But I do believe it's gonna pull back, because let's have a look on the hourly. It's been struggling to really break higher. Again, we had a little shift, pullback, and right now the market actually came to respect supply, which is pretty nice. I think we actually broke a little bit above it. So this is really nice right now, guys. This is very nice, because we're yet about to maybe have a very nice short if only we close below this structure. Because if you have a look right now, again, if you clearly read the market, lower low, lower high, lower low, very consolidated market, strong push above, respected supply, but failed to make a new lower low, and then made a higher high. Okay, interesting. So right now from this area, we technically should be looking for longs on the hourly, okay? But just our bias on the daily is that we might have to have a deeper pullback. But what I'm gonna tell you is stay focused and see how the market is gonna respond from here, and only take shorts if we actually have a break below this level, okay? So mark it out like this with a line, and then do text, boom, boom, shorts only if this breaks, Okay, be organized and know your levels. So if this one breaks, then potentially we can have something like this, and that's gonna be a lovely short opportunity. But potentially for longs, I'm slightly skeptical, because if the Aussie starts flushing as well down, and if the DXY also follows, then I think we're actually gonna have the drop. But of course, if we have a nice long opportunity right there, be sure to take it. But again, this is my analysis. Want to make sure that this higher low is broken before engaging into shorts. NZD/JPY, this is pretty understandable because it's very flat right here, very flat price, and we actually took out that price very strongly. And right now, again, exactly the same. We're having this demand, but on the weekly, we're pretty much extended. So again, this could be enough of a pullback, guys. So the next week could immediately actually pull back and then start initiating higher. So also consider this, but always consider that we could potentially have a little bit of a deeper pullback. Like, have a look at that big wick the last day that took out the stop losses that were above right there. So right now, shorts only again if we break below this structure, pullback, and then potentially go lower. Okay, so very simple. On the hourly, if we potentially give longs, then potentially we can take longs, but be careful with your profit taking, because we can create a lower high and then to potentially continue going lower as well. Okay, so let's see for the NZDs. I'm definitely gonna give them some time to actually see if we're gonna have that bearish introduction, and then to potentially jump onto the roller coaster and start taking some shorts as well. USD/JPY, another week of no comments, another wick to the upside, daily time frame, consolidation, stuck between the highs, stuck between the lows, 4-hourly time frame, ranging. So pretty much I have no analysis on this one, guys, because again, if you just understand what is this market doing right now, it's ranging. Okay, so what can you do? Well, you can drop to the lower time frames, to the 15-minute, to the hourly, and just trade in between all of those levels. But it's not something that I'd like to do. So basically we're just stuck right now, and what I'm looking for is for the market to break out and to show me where potentially it wants to go. Okay, a consolidation is also a good thing because it's stacking. So it's stacking right now, it's cooking for something. So we could definitely expect a move somewhere, but as I keep telling you every week, we have the break of structure up, then we have the break of structure down, and pretty much we're stuck in this bigger range even on the daily, and then a smaller range on the 4-hourly, and then a bigger range on the weekly. Okay, so it's not nice. Okay, so USD/JPY, my biggest tip will be to step aside, wait for something clear, and then strike. But of course, if you like to intraday trade it, good luck, but it looks pretty choppy in my opinion. So let's see, still waiting for something clear on this one. All right, let's have a look at the GBPs. As always, starting from GU, which was absolutely clear this week. Very nice development. Again, if you remember from the previous week, we had our range from the low to the high. We absolutely to perfection pulled back below the 50%. We grabbed actually below this week because GU has a very specific behavior. It always loves to fake the levels. And then we have a very nice expansion. So basically the first days we were short. So there were lovely short opportunities. Then we actually went right here. We created this big low right here, and then we had a massive expansion to the upside, and almost made a higher high. So if you actually have a look at this, all of the other pairs were still looking for that 50%, but GU already made it. Okay, so that means that for the other pairs, maybe they're actually gonna follow on GU as well. But yeah, pretty much right now we created the high, and right now we are in a kind of a pullback phase right now. So potentially if we try to see where we could potentially trade it from, this is a new daily level that is formed, and I would expect the market to actually maybe give us a little pullback towards that level, and then to potentially continue and make a new higher high. Because right now we failed to make a new high, but that does not mean that we're not bearish, because pretty much on the weekly we broke structure, we pushed into the highs, we pulled back below the 50%, we took the stop losses that were below right there with this big wick, and then we very strongly initiated into the highs. Okay, so that pretty clearly tells me that if we pull back towards that level, break structure, we're definitely gonna go for a higher high. Okay, a scenario that I wouldn't like, it will be on the open to continue just pushing higher and make a new higher high, because then we should be trading retracements maybe on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then potentially Thursday and Friday again into the longs. Okay, but that is a different story. It's too far in time. We as day traders, we only care what's going to happen right now or today. So basically my analysis on GU will be a pullback into this new demand, which is actually on the daily, and then to potentially see if we can catch any other longs. Okay, but pretty lovely, guys. Just see how you could actually take shorts on the retracement down there. There was a lovely short right here, some lovely shorts right there. Then there is your push to the downside, then there is your break of structure, there is your pullback. See how you can actually take longs from right there and ride it all the way up. And there are opportunities. If I go on the 1 minute right now, you're gonna see them, but we're not gonna do this because simply I didn't trade it. All right, so that is on GU right now. Lovely analysis. Let's have a look at GJ, which is pretty much also played out to perfection. I do believe that I actually wanted to trade it from that level right here. But weekly as well, what is interesting in that is that we pushed low, pushed high, and closed exactly where it opened. So very strange, very strange. But yes, we had this big pump into the highs and then this big retracement. So that makes it a little bit tricky to actually try to forecast where we're going next, because even the structure on GJ is a bit tricky right now. Because we have this big low, but then this big low did not break structure and we still maintain in a bearish market. We had this push lower, but this push lower did not break the low. And this pullback is basically right now in the middle of the range. Okay, so this market is also ranging, as the majority of the JPYs are. So basically a slightly bit tricky, but yes, as you can see, we were pretty much in a very choppy market. We topped first, topped twice, topped 3 times. Then we actually broke structure. Then we created a high low formation, and then we actually had a lovely long. Okay, so GJ technically long bias, similar to, for example, NZD/USD and NZD/JPY, where I mentioned to you that we're pretty much in a bullish market right now. But looking at the higher time frames, we can expect a deeper correction down. Okay, so the key is right now to see how the market is actually gonna develop within these levels and if we're gonna sustain the bullish price action. Okay, so this level is fulfilled. We have our break that is right here. We have our new higher high as well. So let's see how we're gonna pull back. Let's see if we can have any long opportunities right there and see if the market is actually gonna continue higher. Okay, so that's on GJ, and if we actually break below this level, then we can actually potentially expect that deeper pullback, because also this pair hasn't pulled back a lot since it actually moved into the highs. Okay, so let's see. Definitely need some time. Let's see how Monday is gonna play out, and then potentially flow with the markets. GA, yeah, so pretty much this one is a retracement right now. On the daily, we had a massive pump down, and right now we're having a pump up. Okay, basically pulling back where that move started. This is the daily lower high. So I think it's gonna be a pretty key week right now for GA to see if it's actually gonna start retracing lower. That also depends on the Aussie, because the Aussie dollar should start pumping up as well. So that's what you should also be following right now. But currently the structure is bullish. Okay, where is our higher low? It's right here. So as long as we remain bullish, we keep longing. Okay, you're first gonna see the change of structure on the lower time frames as well. Like there is a very nice hourly level right here that we're just tapping inside as well. So definitely what I'm gonna be looking for is how the market is gonna tap inside. Are we gonna strongly react, pull back, create lower high, break structure, and then potentially start trading it lower? Okay, so that is my plan on GA. Overall looking for shorts. So let's see how this is gonna play out, but still keep in mind that we're overall trending into the highs. So we are technically bullish still. And Euro GBP finally having some movements, some breakout to the downside. So what does that mean in this awful pair? Guys, I really hate this pair, to be honest. But yes, like it's really hard to determine what is happening, because let's just try to read it. Big push down, pull back, lower high, lower low, break of the lower high, higher high, consolidation, pull back, maybe higher low formation right there in order to continue to push higher. Okay, so just doing this very quickly makes me think that we potentially could go higher. There is also our range from the low to the high, just dipping below the 50%. So there's your analysis. Again, as you can see, for a couple of seconds, we managed to break it down. And yeah, so basically we had this very flat highs right there, very nicely stacked. Then we have this very flat lows as well, very nicely stacked. So everything is taken, both the high, both the low right now. So what I want to see is how we're going to develop. Where is our lower high? It's right here. Let's see how we're going to develop inside. Are we going to break structure above pullback, and then potentially we can start expecting the longs. Okay, so there is your analysis, guys, combined with the hard time frame levels. I mean, starting from the weekly, daily, 4-hourly levels, then dropping onto the hourly to have a look how the behavior is going to be right here. Wait for the change of structure, and then it's all about dropping to the lovely 1 minute to get your entry. But of course, you can absolutely do that. I teach how to trade the 15-minute as well, and then we also enlarge on the 1 minute. But first, you gotta learn from the 15-minute, get familiar, and then basically you start to understand also how the 1 minute is going to look like. But it's a process that takes time. Okay. So basically, that is pretty much the analysis on the GBPs. GH overall short, GJ it's still 50-50. GU overall longs. Okay, so longs on Euro GBP and longs on GU does not sound too nice, but as well, let's see how the week is gonna open and let's see how it's gonna develop, and then it's all about actually flowing with the market. Interesting development on gold as the DXY actually picked up some strength to the upside. This one is starting to create some bearishness. Okay. So we actually, if I draw a straight line right here at that high, we didn't even go above that high by a pipette, okay? So that is pretty strong, meaning that the market does not actually want to break above, and right now we're having that triple top, which is going to be a big fuel for the market to actually break it later. And then you saw that I had this 4-hourly level, basically following higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. I wanted to see the pullback right there to potentially look for longs. And then I told you that we could potentially be looking for shorts from right there. I think this was actually my Tuesday analysis, was it? I'm not sure. But yes, then we were actually tapped in right here, actually wicked below it. But still, we are just ranging right now. So for me right now, it will be pretty important to actually monitor how the structure is going to develop right here. So we have this high and we have this low, and basically you can see that right now we're stuck in this range. So what I want to see is some further development. If we continue to break lower, then we can potentially continue with the overall strength that is to the downside, and maybe the market also wants to create a deeper pullback on the daily, because again, yeah, I don't want to draw it from this wick because it's going to get too much, but basically we might need the market might need to push to pull back and then to potentially continue higher. So this is what we're currently potentially into on the higher time frames, but the lower time frames suggest shorts right now. And if we actually continue to break, if we make a lower low of the structure, then potentially I'm going to be interested to take short and then continue lower as well until we actually change the structure. But again, guys, with gold, you never know. This pair is just so volatile. It's all of a sudden it starts doing something that you didn't expect at all. So it's really nice to actually just flow with this market, follow the hourly, follow the 4-hourly, and just follow the momentum. Okay, so that's my outlook on gold. I'm pretty curious to hear yours as well. Finally, some happy days for the indices and crypto. We're having a bearish engulfing candle on US30 that suggests a potential correction. So the biggest question right now, guys, is where are we gonna stop? Okay, so on the daily, this is actually the demand that I've been waiting for quite some time, and as you can see, it got pretty much not respected, which suggests to me that we are going lower, which is really lovely news for me, because I'm not really trading indices. I'm only investing in indices. But yes, so basically I'm really curious to see if we're actually gonna break this low, and if we break this low, then we're potentially gonna expose towards that one. And if we actually reach somewhere towards this little zone right here, all of that right there, that will be a golden buying opportunity, because basically this is going to be around 40% correction, which is usually pretty nice to buy. Okay, but yes, pretty much US30 pushed to the downside, pulling back right now, another impulse into the lows that broke the structure, leaving us with a new lower high. So potentially we can have something like this as well and drop lower, and from here I'm gonna be actually looking to buy or invest. Okay, so let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Again, Nasdaq created this beautiful flat high right there, and right now we're also in this retracement phase. The first level is 2%, the second level is absolutely lovely at 5%. So let's see for how long it's gonna go, but definitely I would expect some sort of a reaction from here. And I do believe if you are kind of dollar cost averaging, if you are investing, of course, it's pretty nice to actually buy from all of those levels, which is something that I'm gonna do. So yes, this is my level. Nice correction initiating, the market failing to break higher, creation of a lower high. So we are officially in a short-term bearish market. It's really nice to see. So let's see for how long it's gonna go. S&P as well, lovely drop right now for around 2%. So I'm starting to think to start dropping a little bit into it, okay, because you can see the previous crash that happened was also 2.90%. So we're pretty much almost close, but it's gonna be really lovely to actually come inside this level where a lot of orders were initiated and then to actually long in from there. And yes, from there we have to see if it's gonna get respected, because if it doesn't, we're gonna maybe further continue lower. But as you can see, the overall pattern right there, where is it? This is a brush. Like we have right here a little crash, correction, little crash, push, little crash, push. So right now, a little crash, push. Basically, this is how the market moves if we do not have like an economic collapse or something. But as you can see, is this the corona? Yes, this is the corona, like, which is an exceptional event. It is just massively trending up, and I'm capitalizing on all of this, so I'm super happy with this investment. But of course, let's see where potentially we can catch a new long, which I believe is gonna be somewhere right here. And of course, it's incoming. Is it gonna be this week or next week? We shall see. Bitcoin as well. New regulations or anything, extended market, buyers getting FOMO. We're having a little bit of a crash right here, which is pretty lovely as well. And if I maybe take the weekly leg, and again, it's slightly tricky, guys, because you can see on the weekly, if you just play the supply and demand game, we have the demand and we have the supply. And right now the market came to respect supply. We're reacting from it. So the question is, how are we going to respond from the newly created demand that is right here? Okay. So are we coming back to 35? I am not a crypto guy, so I really don't know. As I keep be telling you for a couple of weeks, I sold the majority of my holdings right here. So I'm staying cash right now. I still have holdings, but I'm mostly cash. So I might start actually stacking pretty soon. And my first stack will be right here, around 42. So 42, I could buy, and then to potentially see how it's gonna develop further. And pretty much the same with Ethereum. So we spiked into the highs very nicely. We withdrew into the lows very nicely. As you can see, where I have my alert at 3K. This is where I would love to actually start buying. Okay, so big quick right there. Right now, the market is gonna accumulate, and we shall only see if we're actually gonna come and break all of these flat lows right there, which are pretty lovely to see, and maybe pull back a little bit lower towards like the 25s, which is gonna be lovely. Or are we gonna sustain above that wick, which pretty much actually took only those lows right there. So let's see. But if the market actually comes a little bit lower right there, I'm gonna start getting interested to buy, to start slowly stacking up. And yeah, this is basically my plan and how I invest in crypto and indices. Let me know if you actually want a video on that. I might be pretty interested to do one of those. But yes, guys, this is how I'm gonna wrap up this analysis. I really hope you got some value. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe as well, and leave me a comment, because I really love seeing your comments. They keep me actually going forward, doing more as well. Let me know what you want to see more, what kind of videos as well. And yes, make sure to prepare your charts. And I wish you an amazing weekend and a crushing week ahead of you.